You're listening to the Armada EW podcast with your host Tom Withington at the controls. Multi-domain operations, the latest buzzwords or a paradigm shift. The US Army defines MDO as a rapid and continuous integration of all warfare domains. Today we're joined by Dr. Bill Conley, Mercury Systems Chief Technology Officer. Bill, thanks for joining us. How could MDO benefit armies?
Multi-domain operations, it's kind of been an evolution in thinking over the last couple of years. But in my opinion, really what makes multi-domain operations unique is I think it's broadly kind of a new way of connecting the entire force, but allowing substantially more flexibility in the command and control, the so-called C2 structure, that improves both the effectiveness as well as the tempo of that force.
What are the caveats?
Multi-domain operations does not mean that everyone is constantly talking to everybody, but it allows that operational flexibility to connect as required and then redistribute kind of forces back out at the end of accomplishing whatever that particular objective was.
How does MDO differ from current operations?
The first thing that I think is worth hitting on kind of with the U.S. and broadly Western militaries is the centralized planning, decentralized execution to allow a commander on a battlefield with a local understanding of his environment to make the optimal decision as opposed to believing that you can, from somewhere in the rear, perfectly script everything that is going to happen. All of those decisions are dependent on data. Traditionally, much of that data is absorbed at the lowest level. The information flows up to the higher levels. And then commander's intent comes back down, which the local commander then is responsible for going ahead and doing. What I think multi-domain operations begin to kind of change in that, though, is it allows the real-time coordination of operations between diverse units based on what the data and hence the information reveals without having to go up echelon and back down.
What major benefits will MDO bring?
U.S. forces or other forces operating in this manner are much less predictable because what you're really now finding is at that smallest unit level, you're getting the improvisation, you're getting the adoption of a new technology, of a new way of doing something. I think having that ability to flex, to adapt, to try out small ideas, and for those that are successful, have them become used more broadly across the force is really the operational benefit of approaching conflict more through this multi-domain operations sort of a lens.
Bill, what technologies facilitate MDO?
A couple really key technologies that I think enable us to realize multi-domain operations is largely everything has happened around software-defined communications, kind of that software-defined flow of information across the battle space. First is it enables agility through the electromagnetic spectrum, but one could definitely argue that the electromagnetic spectrum is actually the first domain that a military must achieve superiority in to meet all of their other objectives. What we may be seeing is that need to move information actually makes the electromagnetic spectrum the first place that you go and you look for superiority at a time and place of your choosing to be able to drive that overall goal that you have on the battlefield on that given day. The second really big and important technology is the data processing side. Currently, sensors, they're capable of generating more data than as a human we can look at, we can process, we can make sense out of, and we can kind of synergize. Humans are ultimately going to end up, responsible for kind of providing the context around what does this data mean, but how much of that data can you just process in an automated fashion to go ahead and assist the human, best as possible.
When do you think we might see MDO becoming a reality on the battlefield?
The DoD is actually already making substantial portions of this a reality today. A lot of the concepts, I would say, have been under development for about 5 years. To kind of rephrase the question, though, is one could also ask is, how long until multi-domain operations are all military operations? And so I would actually wager that I think the majority of this transformation will occur over about the next 10 to 15 years as we upgrade, modernize, and invest in a few new weapon systems across on the U.S. side.
Bill, thanks very much for your insight. That's all we've got time for. You can find more EW news and analysis at armadainternational.com/electronic warfare. Thanks for listening.